This right here is the Viking Solution Quick Game Hoist. So if you get a deer out in your favorite spot, but you need to clean it and you really don't want to bring it all the way home and do it there, or you don't really want to clean it right where you shot it, because that's a great spot and deer probably won't like that. Either that, or you can use this for some game feeders. Regardless, all you have to do now is just pick a tree, whichever one is best, hook it up really easily with this chain, and you can either clean your game there or feed them. We do want to make sure we find the right tree, so we want nothing littler than 7 inches in diameter. This one's about 8, so it's perfect. Those really big boys, we're probably not going to want to use this on those, but that's kind of a lot of different range of trees, so I'm sure you can probably find one that'll fit. This one right here is a little too small, but then you get the big boy right here, and this is going to be a little too big for the hoist. But any 2 trees kind of like these will be just right. The hoist weighs about 22 pounds, so you can pretty much do it by yourself. Once the tree gets a little bit bigger, it might get a little harder, but all you have to do is just pick your spot after you find your tree, kind of get it lined up to where you want it, and then you can kind of hold it up, wrap the chain around. And we do want to use this chain and this chain only for this, so you don't want to swap anything out. And what we want to do is come up like this, pull it tight. I'm going to fit that link on the inside right there. All the excess, I typically just put it right here. And then make sure it's nice and seated properly. And then pretty much, we're just going to have this little bottom piece, which is just going to kind of hold it to the tree. And then up here, we can go ahead and start hanging stuff. Wherever you are in the world, just make sure that the game that you plan on hoisting up or the feeder you plan on putting up in the air is not going to go over about 400 pounds. I'm about maybe $1.75 wet, and there's no flex or anything, and it just seems super, super solid. So I think this thing's going to be a really good option for you. So there's a couple ways we can do this. Up in this position is going to be when I am cranking it clockwise and it's clicking through. And then we can go to the middle position, which this is where it's going to be free spooling each way. But then we go all the way down. And now this is going to be for counterclockwise when we click. So we have a lot of different adjustments there. And we're going to have a handle on one side. And from here to the end, it's going to be about 7 inches. It does have a little plastic piece here, so gloves or not, it's not going to freeze your hand at all. So we can go crank. You can do the free mode like this, or go all the way down and do it the other way. So there's a lot of options. The gears are going to be coated with a zinc coating, so it's going to be extra strong, especially if you do keep it out here for a couple days or even the whole entire season. The rest of it's going to be made of steel, and we are going to have a black powder coated finish on the main support beam of the hoist. But if you do plan on keeping this outside, I would recommend using gloves if you do start to touch this, because after a while it will start to rust away and it might start to prick your hands a little bit. So definitely use some gloves if you plan on keeping it outside, which it doesn't really look that horrible. It's very small, so might as well just keep it on a tree and just so it's ready for whenever you bring whatever you got to do and lift it on up. We have a zinc coated hook as well, and it has a little flap here, so it's not going to come undone. And the cable is going to be about 1/8 of an inch in diameter, and it's going to be pretty long. The cable is about 15 foot long, so we could take our truck or the side-by-side, whatever we're using to transport the game, and we can go all the way out, hook it up, and then go over to the handle and start cranking. So I think that's pretty convenient. From the back of our center beam to the farthest most point out, it's going to stick out about 28 inches. And then from the top of this tube to the bottom of the whole entire hoist, it's going to be about 43 inches. Well, depending on what kind of tree you choose, there's a bracket right here, and the whole entire width of that from right to left is going to be about 6 inches. So even if it is a little bit bigger of a tree, it does really good at just kind of grabbing that tree and not really moving at all. I mean, there's a little bit of slack right here, but that's not a problem, especially when we get all that weight on there. There's going to be so much pressure down here on the tree. So I think this is a very, very solid option. I was pretty surprised once I put it on a tree. So right out of the box, after I assembled this thing, at first I thought it was going to be a little flimsy, but it's absolutely solid. So that was a very good thing for me to see. I was very impressed by it, but also it's just very, very convenient. You know, sometimes you got that perfect little food plot, but you want to add an extra little feeder or something. This doesn't really limit you a whole lot. Just find a tree, make sure it's the right size, wrap the chain around, and you're pretty much done. I think it's a pretty good economical option if you're wanting to do one of those two things. And that's pretty much it for our look at the Viking Solutions Game Kwik Hoist.